EX-70, your co-host for the presentation of the Technics Video Owner's Manual for models GX6 and EX-70. This video manual will give you in-depth information and explanation as to the proper and full use of your instrument. And now it is my pleasure to introduce you to your host and instructor, Seth Rye. By combining his in-depth understanding and easy way of explanation, it becomes fun and simple to learn all the wonderful features of your organ. Many of us have heard Seth live in concert and listened to his albums. There is no question as to his wonderful talent. His ability to fully utilize all the features of these amazing instruments was learned, just as he wishes to teach you. Watch, learn, and enjoy. And now, here's Seth.
Thank you, Cindy. And it's a pleasure to be with you and show you all about the EX-70 GX6. Now, I'll cover all the tabs and buttons for you, but first I want to play a song for you, and then let's discuss first the heart of the instrument. It's the orchestral conductor and the musical display. So here we go with the song. Technics, marvelous instruments. Your GX6 and EX-70 are special instruments. They incorporate PCM sound. Now, PCM is live recorded sounds. So I will be talking about those as we go through this entire presentation. But let's talk about the orchestral conductor. The orchestral conductor has many hidden features that you may not have noticed yet. One of which, have you noticed that if you turn on percussive, that it of course turns on the percussive sounds, but there's a yellow bar above it. Well, that coincides with the yellow. How about orchestral? Well, those buttons are orange. Well, there's an orange bar. It's color-coded. Maybe you didn't know that yet. Let's go to solo. Well, solo coincides with the other red buttons on the far right of the instrument. We have the vocal ensemble just under the solo preset. Then the string ensemble. They're the yellow buttons. I don't even have to look at the instrument because it has a yellow bar right there. Then we have the organ presets and the upper tab voices. They're the white tabs on the far upper left of the instrument. Now the black buttons are for the upper and the gray buttons are for the lower. It shows you right here on the display is that upper is black and the gray is for lower. Just to the left of the orchestral conductor is the musical display. It really, really does a lot for us. Let's look at that real close. The musical display, for example, it shows you the beats per minute I'm playing, 136 beats per minute right here. Then let's slow it down to maybe like 114 beats per minute, 112 beats per minute. Now I'm going to start the rhythm, and I want you to see the metronome tick back and forth. Right here we go. See that there? Now there's lines under my finger, and I'm going to move it right now. See those lines? You know what that's for? That's for professionals as well as beginners to always stay on the beat. It'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It is really, really helpful for us. All of us use that. Then we have features like it says FSC, full band setting computer, VSC, voice setting computer, PS, play sequencer. Well, the arrow is above the voice setting computer. If I would push full band setting. Now we have an arrow above it. See, so it makes no difference what you turn on or off. It is displayed in the musical display. So please remember that, and I utilize it every moment I play Techniques. So I'll be back in just a moment, and Cindy's going to recap the features I've just talked about and tell you about the new features I'll be discussing.
Let's recap what Seth has just said. You have your orchestral conductor, which is literally the heart of your organ. You have two banks of keys, the black, which is your upper keyboard, and the gray, which is your lower keyboard. Everything on your organ is color coordinated to more easily help you distinguish the different voices or sounds that your organ can produce for you. Moving on to the musical display, that is like your picture show. It shows you what's happening with your features. Now, let's move on to the next feature, which is your upper tab voices. Seth?
Thank you, Cindy. The upper tab voices, they're found over in the far upper left of the instrument, and there's the one that says 16, 8, and 5 1/3 have all these numbers written on it. Well, right under the word upper tab voices over here, it says digital drawbars. Well, if we would just push upper tab voices in the orchestral conductor and hold down some notes and turn on our sounds, you hear the organ tones coming in. See, the word flute, on traditional organs it was called flute or tibia. So that's what this is about, is that on an organ such as this, it's called flute. So it's a traditional sound. But the term here that says digital drawbars, that's so interesting because, see, organs that years ago had actual little drawbars that you pulled out, and as you pulled them out, it made the sound louder. So if it was a 16-foot, as you pulled it out, it became louder. Well, Technics has devised a method so you can have exactly the same thing. How do we do that? I'm going to tell you something right now that you're going to hear over and over and over again. It's the record button. If you don't know where that's at, it's on the lower left-hand side of the instrument, way over here in the far left corner. It's the only red button over there. You're going to use that a lot during this presentation because I want you to follow me. Please take a moment right now if you're not sitting at your instrument and, viewing the video. Do that. Get your remote control and stand by with me. And let's go through this together because if you push the buttons as I do, it really helps out a lot. So let's do this. Let's push record, and then the orchestral conductor will push upper tab voices. I'd like to make a note. If you push record and you wait over 5 seconds and you haven't pushed a feature, it will stop flashing. That's normal. Okay, so now that we pushed record, upper tab voices, let's look in the musical display. See these little lines? These are just as volume controls. That's what they would be. So I'm going to go over here and push number 1 at the top. See the lines go away? That means like I'm pushing in the drawbar. You can push more than 1 at a time. I just showed you at the beginning. Let's push the next 3 at a time. What this would be now is to filter our sound. Let's pull out number 16. So we push it at the bottom. Look in the musical display. You see the line up here. Okay, let's do number 1. Oh, there we go. Now let's hit number 8. Not quite as much. I'm going to answer a question for you here. See that line, how it's flashing? What does that mean? Well, it means an extra position. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, it stayed on the same line. 6, 7. Okay, so we have your different positions. Let's go ahead and bring them all out here to get our full sound. Okay. Now, once you've have set these up the way you want them and modified them, you just push upper tab voices again, and they're locked in there. So now I have all the flutes turned on, so let's turn off. Just have 16 and 1. You know what 16 and 1 is? It's that pretty organ sound everybody says, oh, I wish I could get a pretty organ sound. 16 and 1. Here it is. How do you do the theater organ? Well, it's 16 and 4. So let's push 16 and 4 and turn off the 1. I normally, if I'm playing organ sounds, I'll use the bass 16 in the bass section or the 8, or either or, because you can play them, the bass 16 and the 8 together. There we are together. Just for that real full, rich sound, turn them all on. See, so please adjust the drawbars. It's fun that way. Now, in the orchestral conductor also, there is what's called the organ presets. Let's push that. When you push organ presets, it coincides with the 4 buttons just to the left of the musical display. And they're in Roman numerals. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's take a closer look at these buttons right here. And it says upper organ presets. So if I just hold a chord, there's number 1. Let's push number 2. Here's number 3. Here's number 4. Okay, let's do this. Push record number 1. Record upper organ preset number 1. In the musical display, you will see the setting that has been presetting there with the drawbars. Let's push number 2. I like that sound. That's that real jazz organ sound. Here's number 3. Let's see what we have here. Oh, it's going to be a real fancy sound. And here's a very, very mellow, mellow sound. Let me ask you, if you wanted to change these, do you know how to do that? Did you know that Technics provides 20 factory organ presets? If you didn't, let me show you how you do them. Ready? Push record, and let's push preset number 1. Record upper organ preset number 1. Now, in the lower keyboard, it's numbered 1 through 20. Let's push number 1. Let's push number 2. Take a close look at the musical display. You will see these change as I push it. Here's number 4. Here's number 5. 4. See, these are factory presets. They've already gone over them and set them in the instrument for you. So you can literally, let's push 1. Hold down a chord on the upper keyboard and go through the sounds and listen. Here's 2, 3, 4. Now I'll just go up the keyboard. And 10. Now there's 10 more, of course, to go through. But there are factory presets that you can choose from. So if that's what you want on number 1, just push upper organ preset 1. Number 2, I like that one. Let's go to number 3. Record upper organ preset 3. Let's change that. Let's go to number 3. Do you see what that is? Number 3? It's the 16 and 4-foot flute, isn't it? That's what I told you that the theater organ sound was. Let's leave that on number 3. Record number 4. Well, that's just simply a single tone. Let's add more sound to it. How about number 5? So now we have this sound. Number 2 is jazz. Number 3 is a theater. And number 4 is a full sound. So the upper tabs and the organ presets are very useful. One thing I want you to know that's very special about your instrument is that other instruments that have presets for the organ sounds do not have as many as this. Maybe you can get 2 just single sounds for the organ sounds and then others, but this has 5 for the upper, and then the lower we have the digital drawbars too. Very, very special sounds on the instrument, and I enjoy using those. So I'll be back in a moment, and then I want to go over the bass section with you. Then we're going to talk about the choir or the vocal and the string ensemble. So I'll be right back in just a moment.
Let's go back over the upper tab voices, or the black section on your Technics organ. For example, the flutes, which represents a traditional sound. You have your digital draw bars. That's really old terminology for pre-programmed sound and levels of loudness. By using your record button and going to any upper tab voice, remember your volume, you will hear and see on your display what you will hear as you play. It's your discretion and style what sound comes out. Please experiment and learn with this important feature. Organ presets call up existing program voices, yet you can modify these pre-programmed voices or sounds or instruments to fit your personal desires. Remember, 5 voices in the upper, 20 total presets. Now, let's go to the bass, vocal, and string sections, and I'm going to take you right back to Seth.
Thank you, Cindy. Now, folks, the bass section is the only section of the instrument that's turned on all the time. You select your sections like the percussive or the orchestral or the solo by using the orchestral conductor, right? Or the choir or the strings or the organ sounds. But the bass is always on, just depending on the volume. Let's go through a few of those sounds. To first start off, let's use bass 16. Bass 16 is traditionally used with organ sounds. So let's put back on that pretty theater organ sound, 16 and 4-foot flute. I'm sorry. Did you see what I did? I went to play the upper organ tabs and I had the choir on. Remember, the orchestral conductor is the heart of the organ. You got to tell it what to do. Just to the right of bass 16 is the acoustic bass. Now, let's use the appropriate type of song and the feature together. The acoustic bass would be used with swing music, not contemporary necessarily, with the swing style. So I have on swing 1, variation 1, we have a real nice acoustic bass. There are 3 ways actually to play the bass pedals. And just to begin with, you can play the bass manually by using your foot down here. Or, you know the pedal that's down here, it's the chrome pedal. I call it C flat, just to the left of C. But if you hold your foot on that, it will bring the bass pedals to the lower keyboard. Now, this pedal works in conjunction with bass solo. That's found just above the record button. So if I just simply press the pedal down here, the chrome pedal, and play the left hand, it will incorporate the bass and the lower keyboard sounds together. You hear that organ sound? If I want just the bass, that's what the bass solo button's for. So when we push bass solo, now we're just getting bass. And it's a lot of fun. Many of us are used to just playing left-hand bass. So, to the right of the acoustic bass is electric bass. That's contemporary sound. We have synth-bass. See, some of these features are used as effects, not all the time. You may just add in. That would be one, I would say, synth-bass. Just add it in every now and then. Here we have a tuba, so we can take the tuba. Now, this especially does not go with swing. It goes with like a march. So let's put on the march, and we'll play the bass down the pedal. Okay. Chopper bass to the left of tuba. Contemporary sound. Bowed bass. Absolutely beautiful sound. Let me show you a registration combination. Bowed bass, we'll use it on medium volume and use the harmonic control. Now the harmonic control in each section, what it does, it makes the sound brighter or mellower by just simply holding a pedal. Let me press a pedal. Now you notice the circle there? That's mellow. Then it has like a star here, or the sun. that makes it completely brighter. Listen to this. Now on sharp. So actually that's to your taste of hearing the music. Kind of a rule of thumb is just use it on medium. Push both of them at the lights are on. So we use boat bass on the pedals. We use lower string ensemble with the cello. And we use upper string ensemble in the orchestral conductor with the violin, the volume full. This is real pretty. This is just a bit of ice castles, and you can hear by simply putting on strings on upper, strings on lower, and the bowed bass on the pedals. It's a gorgeous sound. Isn't that something? And it's really interesting that you can find out that you do not have to combine solo and orchestral and percussive and all these different sounds to get some pretty sound. I simply have strings on upper, strings on lower, strings on the pedal. Try it once. I'm sure you'll like it. To the left of the bowed bass is bass 8. Now, it works in conjunction if you use bass 16. They're the only two that can be pressed together, and they both light up at the same time. All the other ones cancel out each other. Once again, we will use that in conjunction with flute sounds. Just to the right of the bass section is a section that's marked U and L vocal ensemble. The vocal ensemble is found in the orchestral conductor. And remember this, is that if you have vocal ensemble in the upper, it does not work in the lower. Because what I'll do, I've pushed it on the upper. If I push vocal ensemble in the lower, it automatically goes to a preset. See, it went to the upper tab sounds. So I can maybe use electric piano and lower vocal ensemble. Sounds like the vocal ensemble are used effectively, not just all the time. You have an instrument that lends itself to playing so orchestral, is that I will show you some of this, how to play orchestral. But most importantly, if you use it properly, it sounds great, because you hear the performers and the artists playing these instruments, and that's the way that they use the instrument. It's like an orchestra. So I hope you will utilize it like that. Let's discuss the string ensemble section. It's to the right of the vocal ensemble. There's upper and lower, and they can be combined together. Now, in the upper and the lower, we have cello and violin. Now, they're marked as single, a cello, a violin. However, they're heard as many violins, not just a violin. See, a solo violin is found in the solo section. But you take the same sound and add many violin players playing together, and it gets the full. So here's something that's fun. Let's put on bowed bass, medium volume, medium harmonics. The violin in the upper, full volume. The cello in the lower string ensemble, and do something like this. It truly is a marvelous sound. Now, after we come back from Cindy, she's going to talk to you a moment. After we come back from that, I'm going to discuss the percussive section and the orchestral conductor and the solo section. Then from there on, I'll get into the more advanced features, as I call them, of the instrument. The play sequencer, how technichord works. It's going to be a lot of fun. So let's go back to Cindy.
Let's take a minute and go over what Seth has just said. Addressing your bass section, if music were a house, bass would be the floor. Fortunately, your organ is programmed to find the bass tone to fit whatever you're playing. Now, that's truly a marvelous feature built into your Technics. There are 3 ways to play the bass. One is the bass pedal. The other is a bass fan, which is played with your foot. The third way is the bass solo, which is found on your instrument panel. All of these sounds can be mixed, matched, and modified to your musical needs. Let's move on to the vocal ensemble. Remember, your levels soft through loud make a big difference in musical dynamics. Independent voices, or sounds, or instruments provide an infinite variety of beauty and sound. Moving right along, we'll touch on the string ensemble. Your upper and lower levels give you the choice of 1 to many different instruments. For example, 1 violin, or right on to the orchestral section. You can sound like 20 violins in a symphonic orchestra. The deliverance and dynamics of your playing depends on your familiarity with your organ, not necessarily on your experience or musical ability. If properly used, your Technics organ can make you a master musician simply by using the proper feature. Now let's go back to Seth and get along with some other features that the Technics organs can provide for you.
Thank you, Cindy. Very good. Such great words she has to offer. The percussive presets, as I promised, that I was going to tell you about, and the orchestral presets, and the solo, I'm going to do that right now. But each section has 2 familiar things. One is that they all have volume sections, and they all have harmonic controls. Now, the volume control, of course, just adjusts the overall volume. And here's a very close-up of the harmonic control and the volume. Now, the harmonic control and the volume are used like this, is that it's going to make it mellow or brighter. I'll tell you this several times, but let's listen to it. Let me put the harmonic control on mellow, that would be the left button, and play you a note. The same note, same volume, however, on bright. It really changed a lot, didn't it? Now, how do we know how to use this? Well, it's a matter of opinion and just your own judgment. A rule of thumb, once again, is to use both of them together, and you get a nice... See, sometimes you hear an artist play or a record, and you do hear a sharp piano sound. That's how we're getting it. And then on the other hand, you'll hear him play another song and have the piano, it's a little mellower. That's how we're doing it. Let's go over the sounds in the percussive presets. The PCM piano, the live recording of this gorgeous piano. Harpsichord, it's a fun instrument. The vibes are absolutely fabulous here. Now, as I continue, I may turn on some automatics, but I'll always tell you what I do. I have bossa nova on at 128 beats a minute, acoustic bass at medium volume, harmonics on medium, and strings on the lower keyboard, cello at soft volume. Now I want you to listen to this. Here's a beautiful vibraphone. Fabulous. Here's the guitar. Let's put the harmonic control on bright. Oh, yeah. Jazz guitar. Banjo. For example, please don't play banjo using satin doll. How about something like country music? The clavecin is a more contemporary sound, so if you're playing some music of today, you would use clavecin. Now, electric piano kind of goes both ways. It's been used for gospel music, contemporary. There's all types of music because of its pleasant sound. Technics has a fabulous PCM electric piano. So here's a piano. Now, I'm going to jump over to another section. It's called the effects conductor. Now, the effects conductor of the instrument allows you to change the sounds. Have you heard the artist play a concert sometime and you'll hear the electric piano, but it's got a wavering sound to it? Well, I'll tell you how we did that, is that we're using the effects conductor. Because the color of the buttons of the percussive sound being, yellow or light yellow, over in the effects conductor we also have the light yellow. And it says percussive. So if I simply add these buttons, now you're going to hear some big sounds. Now let me do that once again and add Celeste. Aha, did you hear that? How about chorus? And here's phaser. See, if I add the two together, it creates the phaser. It could be almost like a wow going back and forth. So this just adds another dimension of your playing. There's also effects conductor features here for the upper tabs and the lower tabs, for the orchestral presets, and the upper and lower solo presets as well. So if you hear it change, I will be using these features. But never hesitate to use these features. Please, try them. And I will use these. But effects conductor is a real nice feature of the instrument. Now, let's go on to the orchestral presets. Your orchestral presets are found just to the right of the middle of the organ here. And they're the orange buttons, so I push orchestral button. Here are the orange buttons. We have a trombone, a saxophone, a clarinet, a wow brass, synthabrass, accordion, French horn, and trumpet. Now, these tones can be played many tones at once, many notes at once. So let me just play a little bit. There'll be trombone, saxophone. Now, here's where effects conductor, once again, can add a lot. I will push Celeste in the effects conductors using these saxophones. Instead of having a saxophone, I now have many. So we could do something like... See, that's the way we're doing it all the time. I just added Celeste to it. Clarinet, that's a lot of fun. Wow brass. Synthabrass, it's an effects sound. Not something that you're going to use all the time, but you'll add it in every now and then. Accordion, now that can be used solo. If you add the chorus to that, you get what's called a concertina. French horns. French horns are absolutely beautiful. There's a section in Can You Read My Mind from Superman. Special song here, and it has one part that the French horns go. let's put on the celeste and the orchestral conductor and do that one more time. All the difference in the world. I hope you see the features that I'm just trying to make important to you, is that artists not only just turn on a feature, but they will add other sounds. And people always say, how'd you do that? Well, I want you to know how we're doing it. So we always add maybe an extra feature with it. And in many cases, just one more. It's not a lot. Now we have trumpets, so I will add the trumpet sound here. So the orchestral conductor can be used as solo sounds or in conjunction with other sounds. Normally, if you're going to use it in conjunction with, it would be with the solo presets. Because if we take a trumpet in the solo, which is red, by the way, we push the solo button, it has the red bar above it, and the orchestral button. Now we have trumpet and trumpet. But let's put celeste on both sections. Isn't that a big sound? How about the solo trombone? Saxophone. The flute is absolutely dynamic. You know a sound that's been real popular recently? It's called the pan flute. So we'll do that. Now, synth 1 and synth 2 in the solo presets are effects once again. It's not something necessarily you want to play as a solo sound all the time on a sound, because it sounds a little different. But it's a lot of fun to play. Something like that. You know, I've been talking about using the right sound and the right song. Well, here's a whistle. Here's the perfect song to use it with. We have a gorgeous oboe. Now, on the oboe, it sounds the best if you start down here about this G note and play in this register. So when we play, not that oboes don't play this high, but here's just a rule of thumb. You may want to start in this register of the keyboard. Clarinet once again. I just love this trumpet. You know, there's a song that came out last year, and it's a contemporary tune, but it's a tune that's been accepted by so many thousands of people. It's called That's What Friends Are For. And Stevie Wonder was in there, and I have to tell you this little story because it all means something. Is that he not only plays keyboards and sings incredible, he also plays harmonica too. We have a harmonica. Now, you may have used this with many other tunes, but it works great if you play it with this particular tune, the harmonica. Listen to this. The styles and the characteristics of the instruments are important. When you're playing the instrument, don't play like an organist. Organists play connected. I want you to know Ice Castles is not the only song I know. It's just all on white notes so we can get together on our demonstration here. If I play the same thing using a trumpet player, he does not play. Anybody that has to, if it's a woodwind or a brass instrument, they have to breathe. So let the instrument breathe. Play that way. I'm really exaggerating it, but I'm trying to get my point across that you will do this. Many of you have come up to me after a program or before the program and said, I can't get my trumpet to sound like yours. Well, it may just be because you're not playing orchestrally. Please give it a try. It's to your advantage. What we've discussed now is the percussive presets, the solo presets, the orchestral presets, the effects conductor. We're really getting into this whole thing. So I'm going to take a break for a moment, and Cindy's going to step in here and talk to you and just recap these features for you. Here's Cindy.
Let's summarize. All of your orchestral presets have harmonic control. This includes volume, which declares the brightness as well as loudness. Again, when playing, your deliverance or feeling depends so much on only two things. Number one is your dynamics, which is the low or the slow or the loud or the fast of your music. Number two is the proper instruments or voices for the composition you are playing. For example, we're not going to play a rock bass with a ballad. However, don't ever hesitate to experiment. You have nothing to lose and everything to learn by trying your different presets and modifications of your orchestral conductor. Make a note. Don't forget the concertina or French horns and celeste for special effects. They make your sound special, unique, and professional. In closing this section, don't neglect the synth-sounds. They can expand your play from ultramodern to classic with just a little practice. Let's go back now to Seth for some more fun and information on the programmed rhythms.
Now, the rhythm section of your EX-70 and GX6 is exciting. It's PCM sound. That means it's live recorded sounds. Now, to just start the rhythm, I'm sure you've experimented with this, but let's take it from the top. Let's push swing 1 and start the rhythm. Let's go to a bossa nova. See, so to select a pre-programmed rhythm, you simply push the button, 16 beat, and you have it. Now, with each rhythm, there's different arrangements. That's what's called arranged percussion. They have variation 1, 2, and 3. Let's listen, for example, to swing 1, variation 1. It will bring out the brushes. It's fabulous. Variation 2 is the hi-hat. Variation 3 is a ride cymbal. Now, in the rhythm section, there's an on-off button and a mellow button. On this particular rhythm, see, it took out the bass and the snare, didn't it? Just a ride cymbal. See, so it will do that. Here's what the rule of thumb is on the arranged percussion. Variation 1 is the basic rhythm. As you go to 2, it adds more sounds, and 3 even adds more sounds. So that's what arranged percussion is. Just below that is your rhythm intros and fill-ins. Let's start off by pushing swing 1, variation 1, and the intro 1. Start the rhythm. Now, if I push this rhythm, intro 1, it will do a rhythm break. Here we go. See, the technology of Technics, it's always a different intro or break. Excuse me, just the fill-in. The intro will always be the same. The break will always be different. Here we go. Ready? Your instrument always knows to do a different intro fill-in. Now there's a fill-in 1 or 2. 1 is always on the downbeat. Let's listen to that one more time. Ready? 2 is always a syncopated. Let's do it and add a bossa nova. Now push number 2, and you'll hear it kind of hesitate. That means syncopation. So in your owner's manual, it explains that to you about adding more variation. Now, if you're playing a song and you'd like the drums to do a solo, wow, if you'll just push these 2 buttons at the same time, if you notice here, it says 1, 2 is a solo. So let's put swing 1 on and push both of them together. Now, I'll tell you a secret about this. The organ is waiting for you to play, and if you play, it's waiting for you to play and hold a note, because it knows if you play, the solo stops. If you play and hold a note, it starts again. It's amazing. So let me just do this. I will just play a note. Here we go. I'll hold a note. Musically, it's fabulous, and you can add so much variation to your playing. Let's discover and experiment with the Rhythm Composer. It's fun, it's easy. Here's something I want you to know, is that I have this instrument set up a certain way. I'm going to show you how to clear the instrument to the factory setting. And you know how to do that? If you don't, here's what we do. On the on the right-hand side, far right-hand side, there's a green button. It's called Voice Setting Computer. If I push Voice Setting Computer, and then in the middle of the lower keyboard, there is a note marked Initial. It happens to be an F-sharp note. If I hit Full Band Setting Initial, it totally sets the instrument up to a factory setting. So you ready? Here we go. Full Band Setting Initial. Now I know it's just changed everything to a factory setting. The reason I do this is so it will not involve or change the sounds as I start setting up my composed rhythms. In just a moment, I'm going to begin the composed rhythms, and I'm going to really get involved and show you how easy it is to actually program them, and features, techniques put into the rhythms itself just for you to use.
Let's go over programmed rhythms. Remember, they're PCM. What that means is live recorded sounds, the actual instruments that have been programmed into your Technics organs. To select, you push the proper button. Your arranged rhythms, variations are 1, 2, and 3, on and off buttons, and mellow. Variations 1, 2, and 3 are the ability to syncopate, change, and correlate beats, just like a live drummer would change rhythms and sounds throughout a composition. Your voice setting computer. Go to your initial full band setting and your pre-programmed rhythms, and they play automatically for you. In this next section, Seth is going to walk you through the Rhythm Composer. Don't be afraid of this feature. It's easy once you know how.
Now, the Rhythm Composer is actually easy to work. It just seems complicated to some of you because you never tried it. Did you know that Technics has put pre-programmed rhythms for the Rhythm Composer? Aha. Okay, I'll tell you how you do it. First, let's push record on the lower left-hand side of the instrument. Then we'll push Rhythm Composer number 1. Now, at this point, you can select any of the instruments, and notice on top of the buttons of the rhythms, like on the far right, there's bongos, and then there's cowbell, and then a clave block, and hand claps, etc. Let's just do this. Let's select the top left, the cymbal. Now, I will start the rhythm. Hear that click? Okay. I'm sure you don't want that in your rhythm, so now we'll go to the lower keyboard and you'll see some words. There's clear and other words like that. So if you just push the word marked clear, okay, see, so that stops the tick-tock. That's a metronome sound. So now we've selected the the upper left, and that's the symbol. There's also Roman numerals here, is that we can push Roman numeral 1, 2, or 3. They are preset selections, so let's push number 1. Isn't that great? Let's push number 2. See, so it is simple to compose a rhythm. Now the next question is, well, if I want to put symbol number 1 with a bass drum, do I have to push number 1? No. You can push number 1. Or even number 2. How about 3? See, so it's entirely up to you the way that you want to select your rhythm and create it. Now you have 3 choices because there's rhythm composer number 1, 2, and if you push both of the buttons together, 1 and 2, it becomes number 3. So I will do this. Let's push record rhythm composer number 2, start the rhythm. There's the tick-tock again. Now we'll push clear. Okay, and that cancels that out. Now, this is important, is that how do we actually compose a rhythm? Something, you know, from beginning to the end. So I'm going to do one with you, and this is a particular, like a rhythm break. Not necessarily a rhythm that you'd want to use. It'd just be something you could reach over and touch the rhythm composer number 2, and they'll play the rhythm break for you. So I pushed record, rhythm composer 2, and clear, right? Now let's go in the rhythm section. Top right-hand button, right there. It's actually the waltz button. We'll push waltz. Now on the lower keyboards, what's important to look at this point, in the numbers that are written down here, it's 1 through 20. Well, we're going to take advantage of the numbers 1 through 16. And notice that they're in orange. That's because you can, 1 through 16 are important for composing a rhythm. So with the bongos on, record, composer 2, bongos on. Here's what we do. We're going to push 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. All right? There you go. You hear that playing like that? Now, the next thing we'll do is we're going to hold pitch accent. What does that do? Well, pitch means it'll change the pitch tone. It'll make this very sound a deeper tone. Accent means on some of them, it just makes it a little louder, a little sharper. So let's hold pitch accent and then push 5, 6, 7, 8. So now listen here. See how the sound is deeper? So let's go to the floor toms. That is on 16-beat rhythm. So we will just continue now on 9, 10, 11, 12. See how we're composing all this together? Now let's continue to leave this sound on. Push pitch accent and finish the last 4. 13, 14, 15, 16. Now let's push composer number 2. Stop the rhythm. So if you were playing something like a contemporary 16-beat, and you would want to have a rhythm break that you programmed, isn't that great? So that's just an example. Now, if you didn't catch that, which that was kind of fast, but it was steady the way I did it, go back, okay? And please review that one more time. The rhythm composer gives you many advantages, is that even though there's only 3 buttons, you can actually write 6 rhythms. Now, how do we experiment with this? We will push record, rhythm composer number 3, and start the rhythm. Let's clear that tick-tock out of there. Ready? Okay. Now that we've done that, see it says beat just to the right of that, and then you have, it says second bar. Let's use this second bar. Actually means second measure. Let's write a rhythm. Let's put on our bass drum. Picture the bass drum for number 1, preset number 1. Hear that? It's a steady 4-beat. Now let's hold down second bar and push Roman numeral number 3. Okay? Now, what I did was push 1 and 2 together, it's number 3, and lock them in. What you're going to hear now is the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the other bass drum sound beat. I mean, listen to this. See, here's what we could have done. I could have put cymbals in, bongos, snare drums, and everything. So actually, even though it is a rhythm, it's 2 separate measures you can write. And that's simply by using the second bar. And as I said, the pitch accent, the beat is interesting. Let's do our familiar clearing the instrument. You remember full band setting, initial. Okay, full band, initial. Now, the reason I did that is so I can just clear out my rhythms. That's easy for me to do, and if you had written a rhythm and you wanted to save it, make sure you save it on disc or on pack, because if you would have done that, it would have been gone. So now we have that way. Let's do this. Okay, now the beat button works like this. We'll go record. Let's use Rhythm Composer 1. Start the rhythm. Let's clear that tick-tock out of there. You know, that tick-tock is fun, though. You can use it as horse hoofs on sleigh ride. Christmas time works great as a rhythm. But normally you'd have to clear it out. Now, have you noticed sometimes that you need a rhythm that would be more than just a 1, 2, 3, 4? You need a 2-beat rhythm. Well, what I want you to do is look in the musical display, and you will see, now that we start the rhythm, the 4 lines are flashing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see how that's working in the screen? Well, see, there's some of the rhythms that you need 3 beats in a measure, or 2 beats in a measure, or whatever the case is. That's what the beat button or notation is for. Watch. Start this again. It's going 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's push beat right down here on the lower keyboard. Hear that beep? Now it's waiting for me to tell it. Well, matter of fact, right now it's going 1, 2, 3, 1. Let's make it 2 beats a measure. Okay, record. Record. Rhythm Composer number 2. Start. Clear the tick-tock. And go beat 2. Right there. See how the musical display is showing you 2? 1, 2, 1, 2. It just has everything you can imagine to compose a rhythm. Some of these things you'll use, later on down the line, maybe if you have an instructor that wants to help you do this. But I want you to know, your Technics organ has all the professional parts of it built right into it. Now I'm going to go back to Cindy, and she's going to tell you more about this on composing rhythms and kind of summarize it all together. So let's bring Cindy back in, and she'll talk to you about that.
The Rhythm Composer is comprised of pre-programmed rhythms that gives you a variety of rhythms to choose from already programmed into your organ. Or you may compose your own from single to layered sounds. During a composition, a waltz for example, you may also call up extra sound effects without affecting the ongoing rhythms. With 3 buttons, you may compose up to 6 rhythms to vary, interchange, and explore the musical possibilities for each song. The beat button allows you to change the count in a measure, and this will show you on the musical display. And now let's go back to Seth for another feature.
Now the next section I want to talk about is to the left of the rhythm unit, and it's called Rhythm Sequencer and Drum Variation. Now a drum variation is a new feature on these Technics instruments, especially the EX-70 and the GX6, because many of our rhythms, let's take 16-beat rhythm for example, and then let's push a rhythm break. Now that's very contemporary, but there's a new drum section that came out, and it's contemporary rhythms. But let's do this. Let's start the rhythm again, and we'll push drum variation. You'll hear this change, especially once you hit a rhythm break, you'll hear a lot of difference in the rhythm unit. Here's one, even the funk rock has a great contemporary. Not that you're going to use it all the time, but you'll use it sometimes. So take advantage of these variations on the entire instrument. There's a lot of variations from the sounds of the harmonic control like we talked about earlier. You know, it makes it sound sharper or a little bright or mellow. Well, this is what this does. It changes the drums. Now, to the left of the drum variation button is rhythm sequencer. What is that? In layman's terms, it's like this. Have you ever wanted to play a song for four measures of a swing beat, then go to a bossa nova beat, then back to a swing beat? Well, there's two ways to do that. One is to turn on the swing beat and to count that. That's 2, 3, 4, and then jump up here and hit the bossa nova. Well, you can manually do all of this, but Technics has the feature called Rhythm Sequencer. That is going to actually do it for you. How do we work this? We'll talk to the instrument. Push record, Rhythm Sequencer. Select your rhythm, swing beat. Swing 1, I have swing 1, variation 2. Let's have it play for 4 measures. Just come down on the lower keyboard, key number 4. Then, let's do this, we're adding more variation. Hit the rhythm break, number 1. Then push bossa nova for 4 measures. All right, and then a rhythm break. And then back to the swing for 4 beats, 4 measures. Now let's push record. What it's going to do is going to play a swing for 4 measures, then do a rhythm break, then going to go to bossa nova, play a rhythm break for 4 measures, bossa nova, rhythm break, then back to the swing. Okay, here we go. 2, 3, 4. Rhythm break. There you go, bossa nova. I think this is 3 now, isn't it? 4. All right? Now, there's a little trick, is that if you want it to just do, for example, the swing, bossa nova, back and forth, there are notation on the lower keyboard, all the way up on the top of the lower keyboard. You can actually make it do what's called looping. So, I'll do this one more time. We'll go record, rhythm sequencer, swing for 2 measures. I want to change it so you'll hear the difference. 2 measures, rhythm break, samba for 2 measures, rhythm break. Now, you hit the top A flat and B flat key together. It will do looping. It'll just go over and over and over. And you'll notice the moment you hit those 2 keys, it actually turned off record, meaning that, okay, I acknowledge what you said. So now let's start this. There's samba, break, back to swing. Use your imagination. In many cases, it works easy by taking your sheet music out, just put in here and see the phrasing like every 8 measures normally. So just look at it and say, I want to have a swing for 8 measures, then a break, then, for example, a bossa nova for 8, rhythm break. Just talk to the instrument. It'll talk back because it'll play back exactly the thing you put. Here's what I put into it. Samba, break, swing. See, so Technics is really, it's here to work for you. Just please understand it in its simplest forms. Buttons are not very simple to understand. I'm trying to help you understand it easier this way. So the EX-70 and GX6 are dynamite instruments. We even have a transposer. Now, transposer allows you to play in the key that you want, meaning only on the white notes, but sound like you're playing on all the keys. Now, I'm going to sit down here and just simply hold a note, for example, a C note, and slide the transposer up 1 notch. Hear the sound? My goodness. So, the advantage of this, Cindy's an incredible singer, and she and I have some albums out together, and we do commercials and jingles. Well, a lot of cases, I'll know something in one key and I don't want to have to learn it in another key, so I'll just sit here and I'll say, okay, Cindy, tell me what key you want it in. And I'll slide down to the key I want it in, and now I can go ahead and play on the white notes. See, and then I can stay on the key I want, and it's in her key for her. So it's a real advantage. So let's go to Cindy, and she'll talk about the rhythm sequencer, the drum variations, and the transposer.
Let's go back over what Seth has just been talking to you about concerning the rhythm sequencer and the drum variation, which is a new feature on your Technics organ, and a wonderful one, I might add, for the contemporary music. To change rhythms automatically, use your rhythm sequencer by pushing the chosen beat for however many measures you desire. Then push another rhythm button and for the number of measures that you desire. Each one will sequence or loop and continue to do so throughout your composition. Technics allows you to talk to your organ this way. The transposer allows you to change the key without actually transposing or moving your hands to another part of the keyboard and adjusting the chords. It does it for you automatically. A wonderful feature, especially if you're used to playing with an accompaniment or you like somebody singing with you. Now let's go back to Seth.
Now, just a couple more buttons in the rhythm section. You know the rhythm unit has an actual on-off button. It's blue. Right here it says on. And when the light's on it, let me turn the rhythm on here. When I push this button, obviously it goes off. You know why that is? It's because when you're programming a rhythm sequencer, you can actually tell it to turn the rhythm off at a certain point and have it come back on. Not too many instruments have this feature. It's really a great feature. So, or if you're playing and you want to still see the downbeat as you count, well, you can turn it off here with the blue button and still see the little lines flashing in your musical display. A lot of effects for that. Let's listen to it here with just, let's say, swing 1, variation 3, and push the mellow button. Now, ready? Hear what it's doing? There's a snare drum in there. Takes it out. So it will, it's like another variation. It will add or actually take away a sound. In all your rhythms, if we did a bossa nova, let's do that. Okay, it's just more of your cymbals and lighter sounds will be heard. Now below that is the rhythmic orchestra. On the EX-70 and GX6, they're really incredible because they're orchestrated backgrounds. Let's take swing 1, rhythmic orchestra. Start the rhythm, and let's just hold a C chord. I'm turning off the 8 and 4 foot flute that automatically comes on. He's done a guitar there. Let's add the melodic. Okay, so now on your instrument you have actual orchestrated backgrounds, and they're so much fun. If you would take the same two, the rhythmic and melodic, but add the variation, it gives you brass and big band sound in the lower keyboard. See, so as you experiment through the rhythms, you'll find some of these that you really, really are going to enjoy. I'll tell you one that's real pretty. It's 8-beat, melodic. Isn't that gorgeous? So that's just the 8-beat and the melodic one. Now, these also can be pre-programmed. You can write your own background. The way you do that is you can do it inside the rhythm composer. So it's not that it's just these, even though they're variation, meaning that the computer will change them for you. All right, so as we play along. Let's go down below that and experiment with the rhythm intro and ending. It's going to actually do that. It's going to end the song for you if you want it to. But let's put on fingered and memory. Now these are features I know you're using if you're playing with the 1-finger or the 3-finger automatic play. So we will put on, let's see, march. That's a lot of fun. Okay. I have rhythmic on, the melodic on, and variations on. So we'll push. Isn't that great? Off these automatics, acoustic bass in the lower. Now if I just push the ending button, it plays an ending automatic. Listen to this, ready? Or the variation, obviously, is going to give you something a little bit different. Let's push variation on. Now, let's push ending. Ready? 2, now. Now, all your rhythms give you your 2 choices of endings. See, so the intros and endings, they're really a lot of fun to use. Please use them. On all your rhythms, they're different, and they're always going to be different and fun to play. Below the intro and endings is a light yellow button, and it's surrounded with words that says, one touch play. I tell you, this has made so many people sound great, because it's like you play a big band song or a swing song. How do you set this instrument up? How do you set any instrument up? If you're going to play a bossa nova, what do you push? Technics took the time to go through all of these formalities and preset the instrument for you. So if I would push swing 1 and push one touch play and hold it until it stops flashing. Let's do that one more time. Swing 1, one touch play. Once it stops flashing, it just set the upper keyboard, lower keyboard, and pedals for you. If we put on the march, one thing I know for sure is that you push one touch play, it's going to give you that great polka band that we all like. Here we go. Isn't that incredible? The reason I'm not sitting down and playing more is because I know how to play. I just want to hit the buttons for you and show you that that's really all you do is just touch the buttons, and a lot of great things will happen. So let's do that part one more time. That's fun. With the tuba and all the goodies. The upper keyboard selected a trombone for you, and in the orchestral section, and a trombone in the solo section. You know how I knew that? I looked at orchestral button and the orchestral conductor, and I saw the trombone was on. Solo button, I saw the trombone was on. Let's do something here. Let's use the great endings. Okay, I'm just going to use the regular ending, no variation, right now. Makes you sound great. Use these features. I use them all the time. In concert, recording in the studio, I use them all the time. They are fun, they're great, they're very creative too. So one-touch play is a great feature. And I'm sure you agree that the intros and endings that have their variations are exciting features, as well as rhythmic orchestral. It has its own volume controls, separate volumes. And the drum section, the entire drum section, the composer and the sequencer and the drum variations, everything. Use a little bit of it some of the time, not all of it all of the time. That's kind of the key to success in playing keyboard. I spoke to just many of the top professional keyboard players in the United States today, and it's just always interesting for me to know is that their key to success is not playing complex. It's the simplicity of their playing, using a single bass sound with a single sound on the lower keyboard with a single sound on the upper. It's really a beautiful orchestral sound. And the theater organists, they put on all the flutes and the strings, get a great big full sound. But if that's the sound you want, you can get that. So I'm going to bring Cindy back in. She's going to talk about this features with you one more time here. And then I want to discuss with you Technics, because on the EX-70 GX6, it incorporates now not only our regular traditional Technics and open harmony, but now we have 4 other Technics features that are from the Mantovani strings to the Herb Albert duet trumpets. So I'll be right back with you, and we'll experiment with all of these and have fun with it. So folks, here's Cindy.
All right, let's discuss the rhythmic orchestra and the drum percussion. You can actually delete any rhythm and then have it start back, or have another rhythm start. Remember, rhythm is for the beat, percussion is for effect and for more musical dynamics. The rhythmic orchestra is for the correlated backgrounds. This fills out your sound. You don't have to bring in the rest of the boys for the big band. They're already programmed in here. Even your intros and your endings can be programmed or varied. All of these features are for more sound with easier and even one-touch play. You can have infinite musical control. Only your imagination is your limit. Your key to successful play is your knowledge of how to make full use of your Technics organs. Now let's go back to Seth and we'll discuss Technicord.
Now, Technicord, it's a lot of fun. It once again gives you a professional sound. Technicord actually does this, is that it allows you to play with one finger, and it sounds as if you're playing with 2 or 3 fingers. Because professionals, they don't play with one finger, do they? Heck, they play with 1, 2, 3 fingers sometimes, even more. Well, by using Technicord, right here, if I just push the button, Technicord, play with one finger, I am going to get a full organ sound. Open harmony is just to the left. It's a lighter green. When I put that, it gives you a theater sound. Remember at the very beginning of this whole movie, we talked about registrations and things. Remember, if you push 16-foot and 4-foot flute, you'll get a real pretty theater organ sound. See, that's theater sound. Now, incorporated in your Technics EX-70, GX6 are really neat additions to Technicord. Now, your musical display will be a big help in this part, because I certainly hope you're sitting at your instrument trying some of these things out as we go along. So what we do is push record, and then the lighter green button in the Technicord section. In your musical display, if you've never done anything with it, I'm sure it's going to say 0, 1. That means open harmony, variation 1. And number 1 is just your regular setting. Now let's push record, the lighter green button once again in Technicord. Key number 2. The lower keyboard has numbered 1 through 20. Let's push key number 2 and look in the musical display. It says O2. Now we have changed that open harmony to a different style. Matter of fact, it's a style like, I don't know if I get in trouble for saying some words or something, Henry Mancini or things like that, the monophonic strings. It is absolutely pretty. So if we were to put, let's say, a ballad rhythm on, and how about some strings in the lower keyboard, a cello. Okay. Now I'm going to play with one finger. You're going to hear gorgeous strings. Let's just add to that. Let's add a solo trombone to that with the strings in the upper. Make the solo trombone full volume and our strings medium volume. I have an acoustic bass on, by the way, in the lower, in the pedals, so we'll turn that on to full and do something like this. Let's add sustain to the strings. If you remember, I said simplicity is the key to it. I'm just playing with one finger. And I simply have a trombone on the upper, solo trombone, and the strings on the upper, cello in the lower keyboard, acoustic bass, and a simple ballad rhythm. So I'm using ballad variation 1, by the way. Maybe variation 3 adds more of that cymbal. You like that. So we'll do that one more time. Okay, so that is 2 of our variations of Technicord. How do we do that? We hit record, and then the lighter green button in Technicord. When we did that, I hit key number 1. In the musical display, it says O1, open harmony 1. Key number 2 is open harmony 2. Let's hit key 3. Ah, it says D1. You know what D stands for? Duet. Duet is just absolutely gorgeous. So now I'll hit the lighter green button again. This works like all the features. If you hit record and a feature and then do some changes, you have to go back and hit that feature again, right? So I hit record, the lighter green button in Technics, key number 3, then hit the lighter green button again, just like that. Now, our registrations, that's important. Let's put on trumpets, solo trumpet, an orchestral trumpet. Of course, any orchestral conductor will push orchestral and solo together. Not worry about too much on the lower keyboard because we're going to let our automatics take care of that for us. So I have Bossa Nova on, right, with rhythmic. Let's use the automatics, put fingered in memory. So now when I play, that's Herb Albert all the way around, isn't it? It's really a neat sound. What happens if we hit record, the lighter green button in Technics, key number 4? Look in the musical display. It says D2. That's duet variation 2. All right? That works really good with the piano. If you put percussive on, go over there and turn that piano on. Make sure everything's kind of turned down low in the lower keyboard here. Turn on these automatics. I like this here. So I push ballad rhythm. I have the rhythmic on it, doing that guitar. What does that sound like? Well, I'm not going to tell you, but his initials are FC, Floyd Kramer. Don't tell anybody after that. So now, instead of just big theater organ sound or the beautiful open harmony sound, you can now have 4 other styles of music, 3 other, actually, styles of music. Please use them. They are so much fun. If you've never played country, you've never played country till you've used Duet 2 and played with one finger. It does that Floyd Kramer fancy piano and everything. Now, don't tell anybody I said that, but that's what it's doing there for you. So Technics, it is a really nice feature, isn't it? To the left of Technics is a button that says bass solo. You use that yet? I tell you what, that's fun to do because that coincides with that pedal. Everybody comes up at a concert and they say, what's that little metal pedal down below the high C note? What's that for? Well, this is what it's for. It works in conjunction with the bass solo button. So if we just play, for example, swing beat, and I push the little metal pedal on the floor, play the lower keyboard. Let's do that now. It incorporates the bass on the lower keyboard with the corresponding sound on the lower keyboard. Let's put a piano. Now, to have it do a bass solo, meaning only one person, push that button, bass solo. Now it turns off everything on the lower keyboard except bass. How about a saxophone on the upper? Now, I've had my foot on the metal pedal the whole time. Okay? Now I'll take it off and play my own pedals. Push the pedal. It's not something you're going to jump right into right now as we do it, but you know what? If you stop the tape, you simply push your foot on the metal pedal and then play the lower keyboard. You'll hear that bass guitar jump up. And you know what? It's not just the bass. It's any of the sounds in the bass section can be transferred to the lower keyboard. giving you the entire keyboard for bass guitar sounds. It's really incredible. So let's go back to Cindy, and then we only have a couple more things to talk about with you. I do want to cover the program chord computer. I want to tell you how the disk drive works. If you have a GX6, it has the disk drive because it's built in on the lower part, on the lower left-hand side of the instrument. But if you don't have it on the EX-70, you might consider getting one because it is such a great feature. So let's go back to Cindy, then I'll be right back with you, and we'll finish this up and talk about these features. Here we go. Here's Cindy.
Thank you, Seth. Now let's go over this Technichord one more time. It allows you to play one note and have a full chord sound. Fabulous feature. Another example is open harmony, which gives you a theater sound. In addition, all of this will reflect on your musical display. It's like the TV monitor of your organ. It lets you see what you're doing and what's programmed to happen throughout your playing. The letters Seth mentioned, such as D for duet, is listed and explained in your literal manual. You'll soon have them memorized with use and by continuously seeing them on your display screen. They allow you to actually change your style. Some of these Technichord features can change your style of playing. Now don't forget to put your pedal to use for yet another incredible feature to fill out your bass section. Put your pedal to the metal. Now for the program computer and the disk drive, I'm going to let you go back and talk with Seth for a while. Seth?
Thank you, Cindy. I have the Technics organ course with me here because this next feature, program chord computer, you know, it's a feature I could tell you that all you do is take a piece of music and you look at the chords, and if it says G chord for 3 measures, you put G. I could tell you that, but let me tell you, here in the book, it's all written out for us. It even has actually everything you do for program chord computer, and it's ready to play the song. Because, you know, program chord computer, well, maybe you don't know this, not you know, is that it does play the lower keyboard, plays the pedals. It'll change the voice setting computers. It'll do rhythm breaks. It'll do all that goodies for you. It's really great. So here's a tune. It's in book 4, program 4 it's called. And it's right in the middle of the book, right where it's stapled together. And it's called There's a Kind of Hush. So if I were to play that manually, I'd have to go. Now, if you want to get this same sound, you can by actually putting the chords in. How do we do that? Push record and program chord computer. There's a section marked program chord computer. It's right there, program chord computer. Now that I've done that, in the lower right-hand side of the instrument, on the lower keyboard, you'll see all types of blue nomenclature here. My goodness, some of it's things we haven't even seen before. But what's important right now for us to look at is the top key, where it shows you that this symbol here. That means it will play a chord for 4 beats. On the B key, right here, that's 2 beats. And if you need 4 chords in one measure, you would use the B and the C together, because it has 4 little lines there. It means a chord per beat, so 4 chords in a measure. Then there's all kinds of other goodies. This right here will, after you put all your chords in, if you finally hit this note right there, the B flat, for that notation, it'll just stop. If you hit these 2, it'll start over again, and right on down the line. So here's the way the song starts. It goes. You have a chord change. Chord change. Chord change. Chord change. Chord change. Well, see, if you haven't really got into changing your chords that fast, let's do it ourselves, okay? So we'll go record, program chord computer. I'll hit that G chord for 4 beats. That's one measure. See that? Then it has a G plus. That means you just raised the D note of the G chord for 4 beats. G6, 4 beats. G7, 4 beats. C, 4 beats. The D7, 4 beats. Then the G for 4 beats. Instead of doing the whole song, I'll just do that part. Now let me push Program Chord Computer again. Now, when I want the chords to start, I just push the on-off switch, start, stop. Isn't that great? Let's continue. Is that in this book, it tells you that if you wanted to play those chords again, you'd push a notation down here. It'll do that again, because that's the way the song goes. So if we were actually to do it the way that the nomenclature tells you here, we push record, program chord computer. We go G, G augmented, G6, G7, C, D, G, A minor. It has a half. That means for a half a measure. So that means we're going to use this B note. Then I just made a mistake. Did you hear it go beep, beep, beep? It's because I pushed the return button. I'll do that one more time. My goodness, we all make good mistakes. One more time. All right, C, D, G. See, if you had this book, you would be following this with me. G, C, G augmented, G6, G7, C, D, G. If you had this book, you would see it tells you to push this. Look on the lower keyboard right here with me. It would tell you to push this. That means it's going to go to the next part. G7, C, C6, C7, C6, and then we have, it says G3, that means G for 3 beats. How do we do that? We're going to push the B and the C. Right there, see? Let's just go that far with it. We're actually going to have all this background play. Now, here's that A minor. This is so easy this way, it's fun. Four, 1, 2, 3. Isn't that incredible? Now, you should be using a program chord computer. Who is you? Well, if you are the person that doesn't play much in the family, see, some of us really play, and some of us like to have fun on it. Well, the people that play, why don't you set the chords for them for a lot of songs? And that's where we're going to talk about the disk drive, because you can store all of that onto the disk drive. And when it's their turn to play and enjoy certain songs, they simply can put the disc into the disk drive. It's either here on the GX6 or the EX-70. It sits on a box on the top. And they can just slide their disc in, and the backgrounds will play. I tell you, it's just great. All the backgrounds will play, and they play a one-note melody. Happiness is enjoying the instrument. It makes no difference how you do it. And these features wouldn't be on these instruments if it wasn't requested by everybody. So there's a little bit of happiness for everybody. The person that really knows how to play, let me tell you, you can have all the fun in the world. If you're a person that is not real proficient yet, well, don't worry about it. A lot of us work all day and just have 30 minutes to play. Well, that's your time to play, but enjoy having music. So these Technics books, like I say, I'm not trying to push these books on you, but they're available at the Technics stores, and they just have all kinds of great information. And of course, they're written for Technics. It's not something that's just been brought up and say, well, here's a book and try to work out. It is definitely for. It tells you how to set the voice setting computer. It tells you how to use Technichord. It tells you how to use the instrument. So these are great books. It's the Technics organ course, and I wouldn't be using it if I didn't really believe in it, because it's a lot of fun. Now, program chord computer is a lot of fun. We'll go back to Cindy, then I'm going to come back and talk about real exciting features to me. It's called the disk drive in conjunction with the play sequencer. Okay? Let's go back to Cindy.
Thank you, Seth. PCC, Programmed Chord Computer. Fantastic feature. This plays all the chords for you. This plays the bass section for you, including the pedal. It will even change the voice setting feature. Push, record, and the program computer control will have you ready to tell the organ what you want it to play, how much, what rhythm, and for how long. Once again, you end up sounding like an all-time pro, and your organ is actually playing for you. From an amateur standpoint, this feature is also a great learning and idea tool. Now, I want to get back to Seth so he can get into the disk drive with you, one of the most fabulous features that Technics organs offer. Seth?
Thank you, Cindy. Yeah, and the disk drive is on the lower left-hand side of the GX6. The EX-70, it's an option that you would add to your instrument. Let's discuss about the disk in the pack. If you have a pack, and it should say P2 on the back of it, it has 4 memory file drawers. Now, the 4 memory file drawers, they remember voice setting computer and programmed chord computer and all kinds of goodies, everything that you'd want, on 4 different ones. Or one song. It's not both. You can't actually play into the pack and have it remember a song without having it forget the 4 memory file drawers. So it's an either-or situation. Now, a disk, it's very unique because, my goodness, it has 20 file drawers and remembers 20 songs. So, by the way, there is a pack, it's called a P3. Now, it has 8 file drawers or 1 song. So, it's really your decision, but I know once you see that the capability of the disk drive and its memory capacity. Also, there's pre-recorded discs now available. I have a disc that has, it's me playing all the songs. So if we wanted to hear, a tune like New York, New York, it's on number 20. Okay, so what you do is you put the disc in, you push full band setting computer, and then key number 20 on the lower keyboard. Now, on your disk drive, if it's an option disk drive, on the EX-70, there's a full band setting button on the box itself. Now, just start the rhythm. What do you think about that? It just plays a song for you. It's even going to change the voice setting computers the way I did it. Listen. Okay, so I have recorded this just for the EX-70 GX6. Now, I have a blank disc here with me, and we're now going to experiment playing a song and recording it right into the organ. So let's first initial the organ. Full band setting, initial key. All right. Now, I have my registration stored on the disc. So it's on file drawer number 1. So we put the disc in, and then we go full band number 1. All right. It shows you number 1 musical display, by the way. Now that I've done that, I'm going to take the disc out just to show you that my sounds. First was the saxophones, and I have brass. Number 3 is solo sax. 4, I have trombones. 5, what do we have here? Piano. And number 6, a full sound. Full organ sound. Okay, I just wanted you to know that my sounds I'll be using are in the voice setting computer right here, the buttons. Now, how do we play with the play sequencer using the disk drive? Is that you'd hit record, then hit the bass button. Okay, you'll notice that the bass button now is flashing slowly. Let's hit the lower keyboard. There we go. Let's hit the upper keyboard button. Let's hit the solo button. Okay, so now they're all 4 flashing, and they're ready to go. If you look on the musical display, it will tell you right here it says 350 S. That means solo notes. And there's also in the upper keyboard, as we go through this, we can have 350 bass notes, 500 lower keyboard notes, 500 upper keyboard notes, and 350 solo notes. Now, as you play the section, either bass, lower, upper, or solo, that has the least amount of notes remaining always displays on the screen. So it can start jumping around as you equal out here and you play a couple more notes on the upper that you've played here, and then you play some more notes here. So don't worry about that. It's always telling you the one that's left. Now, I have things kind of set up here, so I can play a song here if I would like. That was really nothing. I'm just making up. Have y'all noticed our little pet fly we've had throughout this entire presentation? It won't leave us, and we don't want to kill it. So it's part of the game. So now let me just push record. All right, now in doing that, by just pushing record, it sets itself and goes right to the beginning again. So I'm going to push start, stop. I'm going to play back my song right here, the way I did it. Y'all should be here on the set with us right now, because all the camera people and the director, they're making fun of our pet fly. I can't believe it, but they're doing that. Okay, so now it's playing back the way that I play. The reason that there's 4 buttons instead of 1 master record buttons is because if I wanted to go back now and, let's say, not play the solo part and have it played and play a new solo part, I could. If I wanted to do the bass over, I could do the bass part over. That's why it's divided up. It's a recording studio. I have a recording studio in Orlando, Florida. That's where we're at right now, this very moment. And actually, this is the video studio. Recording studio is just down the hall, and that's where we record. Is the drummer plays, and then the bass part is just put in, and the keyboard. Then we have our singers come in. We'll have 5 singers. Sing one voice, then another. That's what we have here. It's a 4-track sequencer built into your Technics organ. So here's what's important, is that the GX6 has everything I just talked about built into it. Your EX-70, if you have that, to get all of this, you need to add the disk drive. And they're available, of course, at your local Technics dealer. And you must have a disk drive to play our pre-recorded disc that we have here. I hope I've covered everything on this organ, buttons and tabs and features and all the goodies. I'm going to go over a few things that if I think I didn't, I may have forgot. One is the knee lever. You know what the knee lever initially does? It initially adds sustain to the percussive section. It can be programmed to do other functions. And to do that, just push record and then hit the knee lever. And the lights that flash on the organ are the features it can be programmed to do. Also the rhythm brake control, which is on the right of the volume pedal, and the glide on the left, and even the bass to lower pedal can be programmed. But the rhythm brake normally does rhythm brakes. The glide does glide, and the bass to lower does bass to lower. So if you want to see how they do their different changes, hit record in those features, one of them, and it'll go beep for you. For example, just listen to the knee lever. Now the features that just flash is the tremolo, the voice setting computer, the rhythm brakes, Technicord. See, those flashing. So I'll just initial it right there. MIDI is a feature that I have not covered. MIDI is going to be covered in another videotape because it's pretty extensive, but it can be simple. It'll just add so much more time. I'm sure just on MIDI it's going to be about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours explaining that to you. But what MIDI is musical instrument digital interface. The concept that's been wanting, everybody's been wanting for years and years is to be able to buy an organ and then add to it. So you that have EX-70s and GX6s, you're very lucky. You have a MIDI instrument. So when Technics brings out another something else that you like, maybe hopefully a little black box that has nothing but new brass sounds and other sounds, you just hook that box up, and now it can work on the lower keyboard or the pedals or wherever you want to go. See, so MIDI. Or you can hook up other keyboards to it. That's what that's all about. We have different sustain controls for the upper, the lower, the percussive section. It's identified here. There's even a tuning button, and when you push tune button, the tune button, it should say 440. Then you have a negative and a positive, meaning A440 is perfect on-tune pitch. Sometimes you may get around somebody or a piano that's not quite there, but this will bring the entire instrument down in sound or up in sound. That's what tuning's for. My goodness, buttons that we've seen on this, the harmonic coupler, I know I've talked about that. It's going to add extra sounds. You have an opportunity to add more tones to your playing on the lower keyboard as well as on the upper. Probably the neatest things to remember is our musical display. As Cindy said, it's a picture show. It tells you everything that's going on. I use it that way, and I enjoy it that way. I want to come back with Cindy in just a minute. We're going to say bye-bye to you, and I won't play a song at the same time. So I've enjoyed being with you. We'll be right back. It was neat, wasn't it?
Yeah, I had a good time.
You did a great analogy about the display, musical
thank you.
picture show, and I don't think those kind of things. You know?
No?
No.
Well, it's because I didn't understand it, so I had to put it down to, you know, my capacity, which was about kindergarten when it comes to a keyboard.
It was great.
I may know how to sing, but I don't know how to play.
Well, you do that good. That's
as long
good.
as you
Are
don't
we
sing.
on yet? Are we on yet? We on?
Oh, okay.
Oh, well,
Hi,
folks, listen. We've enjoyed being with you, and please take advantage of the video. Look at it many, many times now to see about all these pictures. And Cindy, you got any parting words to them?
Well, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody, and we do hope that you use the manual because it's not only for your benefit, it's for your enjoyment. And that's what all this is about. Music is for enjoyment. And we'd like to say thank you very much, and goodbye.
I'm going to play them a song, okay?
Oh, I'd love it.
Play you one song here. Folks, it's been fun being with you and showing you about this. Everybody take care. Goodbye.